When I started at St. Stephen's 31 years ago, there was a marine science course in the high school, and it was more whales and dolphins and big exciting creatures and those sorts of things. And it became more and more of a true academic focused class as years progressed. In the early 2000s, we ended up really recognizing what a special environment St. Stephen's has with the McLewis Bayou bisecting the campus. And we started investigating how we could make better use of that and getting kids direct access to the water so that that would become an immediate part of their studies and not something that it was either just a field trip or maybe just something that happened a couple of days a year. And so at that point, we first put the dock on the campus. We ended up with a fleet of 10 tandem kayaks, and so we put kids in the water starting at grade 6 routinely and in multiple classes, not just in the marine science classes. And then as that program grew, we started to realize that a building that would be near the dock would really help us focus this marine initiative and give those students a chance to really grow as marine scientists. And this is just a special location, and we're going to capitalize on that location with the new building, which is the Marine Science Center. We have a One Ocean curriculum, which is a pre-kindergarten 3-year-old program all the way through grade 12.
We start marine science even in the fledgling class, so every year they do another component of marine science. Kindergarten studies grass flats, first grade studies the sandy beach, and it builds so that in 4th grade we are studying all about the watershed and what our waterways are like.
And then starting in 5th grade, they'll do sand. In 6th grade, they'll do some more ecology and habitat study as part of their end of the year program. Our 7th grade program is life science, and they do that from the perspective of water. Then in 8th grade, we'll study waves. And then in 9th grade, our students have the chance to choose marine science as an elective. And marine science as an elective is available at 3 levels.
Marine Science 1, when we're out in the field, we are showing the kids how real scientists sample. How do they collect organisms? How do they capture water samples so they can look at plankton or dissolved oxygen levels? And then in Marine Science 2, we take those concepts that we learned and skills that we learned in Marine Science 1, and we apply that into understanding the behavior of other marine organisms and how their interaction together or with their ecosystem influences what they're doing on a daily basis. And so they're really utilizing those skills that we learned in Marine Science 1 on the field excursions that we go on in Marine Science 2. And then in Marine Science 3, when we're out in the field, the students actually design their own field experiments. They get to pick what animals they want to study. If they want to study animals, maybe they might just sample water chemistry data or seagrass patches. And from there, they're going to write their own experimental procedure. And every time we go out on a boat or a kayak trip, they are actually collecting their own data. They're going to bring that data back to our lab, and they're going to use it to help them write a scientific journal article, which is something that most people don't get an opportunity to do until they get to grad school.
Any student who actually completes all 3 years of the elective program in the high school will complete what we call the Ocean Academy. And the Ocean Academy is that 3-year progression in the high school, including field trips, that then garners them recognition at graduation. So they'll have a special pin that they can wear in their graduation gown, and they will also have Ocean Academy graduate listed on their transcripts, and that will be part of our school profile so that colleges will then really understand what a commitment that was of that student to that area of study.
We live in a state that juts out into the middle of the water. We are surrounded every single day, literally with the bayou right here, and then Manatee River, Tampa Bay, and then eventually the Gulf of Mexico. The students are really, they turn out to be living examples of how to treat the ocean in a responsible manner. Here at St. Stephen's, we're trying to create responsible global citizens. And with 73% of the earth covered by the ocean, and only estimated about 5% of that has been explored, I see it as our jobs as teachers to spark interest, curiosity, passion, and awareness about the ocean ecosystem in the children starting at a very young age.
It's really great that our science community really comes together, and we meet often and we talk about our curriculum and we see how one will feed into the other. We're really excited that the upper school students will get to start working more with the lower school students and the intermediate school students, because we're right here together. We've already got some projects planned for the upcoming weeks where the upper school students are going to teach the third graders about coral reefs.
Our marine science faculty either have degrees in marine science or have degrees in biology, and so they are well versed in it. We also do routine professional development as an entire science staff, but more particularly as the marine science staff. All of our marine science teachers belong to the Florida Marine Science Educators Association and the National Marine Educators Association. This summer, 3 of them are presenting at the national conference. This is a world-class staff.
Curiosity of the unknown is really what made me pursue scuba diving and what made me want to learn more about the ocean and its inhabitants. And then I see it as my role as a teacher, that to educate others, to hope to spark some of that passion in them to conserve and protect a very special resource that we have that here in the state of Florida is so immersed in our daily life and integral to our daily life.
We're living it. We're living it every day. I get to come to work every day and see the beautiful scenery. I get to interact with the plants and the animals. The kids get excited about coming down here. They would love to have class every day outside if we could.
We are out in the field often. We are out about once a month with our partners in education, Freedom Boat Club. And then we are also out on our own kayaks that we have a fleet of 20. And so we're able to take kids out and in the water and be immersive in their learning experience. Those experiential opportunities are the things that kids will never forget.
Our students in the marine science program are all invited to participate in the end of the year trips that are sometimes international and sometimes national, that give that extra depth of study beyond the walls of St. Stephen's.
We've traveled to Hawaii and we've done seahorse surveys out there. We've traveled to the Cayman Islands, and we've been able to assess the reef of the Cayman Islands because it's so heavily visited and frequented by tourists. There's a lot of pressure put on those really precious ecosystems. And so having the kids be able to compare a pristine reef to a degraded reef and the impact that humans, that we have on these really fragile ecosystems, for them to see that close up and in firsthand experience is really invaluable. And so those are some of the trips we've been able to go on. This year we're going to Honduras, and we're going to be looking at coral reef ecosystems there, and we're going to tie in the impacts of El Nino, since this has been an El Nino year. And so we're going to look at what those elevated temperatures that stress might put on things like coral reefs.
The exciting part about the end of the year trips is that it's not limited to the marine science kids. It's open to every student at St. Stephen's. And so we're making sure that while marine science is a part of every single science class at St. Stephen's, this gives a chance for those kids who would really like to spend just more time enjoying the marine environment or enjoying learning more about the marine environment, that in-depth, dive-in kind of experience.
We partner with many different local organizations and national organizations that are studying marine science. Here in the St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota area, it's just a hub of marine science activity. And so we have at our disposals researchers that can come in from the Fish and Wildlife Research Institute in St. Pete.
We have a wonderful relationship, a partnership relationship with Mote Marine Laboratories, which is a world-renowned facility in Sarasota, Florida, and our students at multiple grade levels do a visit there and target their studies. Sometimes they're actually out on the grass flats connecting organisms, and sometimes they're studying sharks or they're doing a shark dissection. That relationship with Mote and scientists who are doing the science every day makes our work in the classrooms even more relevant, because they can see what they've studied happening in a real-world environment with scientists, and that is their job.
We have a partnership with Freedom Boat Club, and they will take out our students. They take out 4th graders so we can do our water sampling in different parts of the river and compare it to what we've been studying all year in the bayou. We have a partnership with South Florida Museum. The 2nd grade goes and studies the mangroves and the estuaries and how that affects our everyday lives.
The goal of our entire marine science program is to make sure that every single student understands that they are inextricably linked to the ocean, that every person on this planet is inextricably linked to the ocean, and that we have a responsibility to make sure that we understand everything that we can, so that the ocean becomes not just a recreation facility, but also a source of nourishment and a source of resources, and that it becomes an area where you can find peace. That the ocean provides all of those things, and the ocean will also then be viewed as a partner on the planet instead of something just to be used. And we have to make sure that that stewardship is grown in every student.
Well, because we are at the dock and we are here on the water, they are really conscientious of when they see trash in the water. They are learning how what they do on the playground can eventually trickle down into the bayou. What are the everyday things that we do that can affect the environment around us? And being able to be in the environment as we're studying it just makes them more aware of it.
And we are surrounded completely by ocean here in the state of Florida, almost on all sides. And I think that that plays a really important role in just being an informed, not even an informed scientist or pursuing a career or a path in college or a major in college. I think it's more about being knowledgeable about the world you live in. Nature and humans are so interconnected. And as the terrestrial world's resources become more stressed, I think we're going to be turning to the ocean for a lot of those resources, and to have people that are knowledgeable and passionate about the marine environment be those people that are shouldering the responsibility of treating those resources in a respectable manner. I think that's going to be integral to the success of humans in general.